She was the victim of an elaborate con.
I can tell they didn't look into it.
And she had nowhere left to turn.
I was thinking, how in the world am I going to get my money then?
KOIN 6 is getting results.
You're my hero.
Thursday at 5 on KOIN 6 News. Watching out for you.
I didn't get a call back today, but we've heard time and time again from health officials that there are so many people that are mentally ill in dire need of help in our state with nowhere for them to go. Well, interestingly, this press conference didn't bring a lot of new information or any new policy in particular to announce. Instead,
fascinating details in all of it, Elise.
It is, and this topic has become more important as more people are building their homes along the river and as the population grows.
We do know that he was up at Munro Point, which is a very, very steep cliff right here along the gorge. In the meantime, nurses tell me that there is something that you can all do that will make a big difference. He said he heard a succession of shots back to back to back. He was estimating 4 or 5, and he saw those students rush into the high school. At this time, we have a very large police presence here.
What's next in this ongoing saga?
There's going to be a lot of court dates ahead, but it was last Friday when I discovered that a man named Stephen Tashi was listed on business documents associated with Shroom House. And so today, some paramedics tell me that they're ready to call it quits. Because if you look over this way, this whale is just a stone throw away from where the baby whale landed. You know, this is a complicated issue over property rights, Liz, and the public, the state, and the private owners are all fired up about it.
It's seriously been the hardest project I've ever done in my life.
Restoring this century-old building, originally known as the Phoenix Pharmacy on Foster Road, has been Matt Froman's passion project and labor of love for the last decade.
And to actually have it up and alive and fully occupied for the last month, and then get a phone call from one of your tenants and say, hey, you need to get over here, there's something happened. It's a true gut punch.
On Monday, he woke up to all this damage throughout his newly restored property.
And then over here, there's another hole, so that's how they got over into the last room.
To get past the locked doors, the burglar busted through every single wall to steal from the small businesses. Matt also found this stolen U-Haul left at the backside of his building, which he says the burglar used to climb onto his roof.
They got onto our neighbor's roof, onto our roof, and then basically pried this open here or here up where they got into the building.
The general manager at U-Haul on Southeast 50th and Powell confirmed their surveillance video caught a man stealing that very U-Haul truck from their lot last night.
I am definitely one of those long-term Portlanders that are very sad over the way the city has been turning.
But he's determined to roll up his sleeves and fix this.
My goal is to not let this deter me from a better day tomorrow and the following day.
As a lifelong Portlander, he says he won't let the bad guys win.
Only on KOIN 6, our Elise Haas has this story of strangers helping strangers.
Over the last few months, Nick Haas has helped recover 50 stolen vehicles, and what started out as a one-off has really taken off.
Nick Haas works on cars and bikes for a living and searches for stolen ones in his spare time.
Keep an eye out. My dad's truck was stolen. Our black Ford F-Series.
He scans social media pages and goes on a hunt.
I'd go make my round in the morning before coming to the shop and drive down Columbia and Marine Drive and 33rd, and almost every morning I would find a car.
9 times out of 10, when he finds stolen vehicles, they've been dumped or stripped. But there are special stories of recouping what was stolen. Nick's first recovery was a motorcycle returned to a Marine veteran named Rick, and the recoveries added up from there.
Really, I'm just tired of seeing good people get screwed over by, a lot of folks, unfortunately, struggling with addiction.
This week, Nick helped recover his 50th vehicle, a Harley Davidson, with a backstory.
It belonged to one of my best friends who passed away a few years ago.
What started out as a simple post on Jeremy Stormont's Facebook page showing these surveillance photos of the suspected thieves ended up leading Jeremy straight to Nick.
He reached out to me through Messenger and said that, hey man, this is kind of what I do. Told me that he's got a soft spot for Harleys, he's a rider himself.
Nick and Jeremy gathered information from the community at large and tracked the thieves down.
I intercepted them in a parking lot, and they didn't have the motorcycle, but he admitted that he made a mistake. And he made the phone calls to who he had sold the motorcycle to, and that individual dropped it off in a 7-Eleven parking lot off Andreessen in Vancouver, Washington.
Thanks to Nick, Jeremy is reunited with his motorcycle, and the two unsuspecting strangers now share a bond over their bikes.
Without people like him out there, you know, he had no reason to help me at all. He doesn't have a dog in this fight. He's put in some sweat equity toward helping me out, and I owe this guy, and I'm very grateful.
If I can do this, I can also lead by example, and I'm hoping that people will start to join me in this.
Above all, Jeremy says, Nick helped restore his faith in humanity.
And today, police arrested the thieves, Brendan Detta and Haley Schweitzer, for stealing Jeremy's motorcycle, amongst other serious charges and warrants. As for Nick and Jeremy, well, they went out tonight and got a beer. In Portland, Elise Haas, KOIN 6 News.
It's needed immediately.
It's a questionable solution to the housing crisis along the Oregon coast. Clatsop County leaders considering giving away acres of public land for free. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Elizabeth Din.
I'm Jeff Gianola. This is happening in Arch Cape, just south of Cannon Beach. Our Elise Haas went there. Elise, you found people already starting to poke holes in this free land plan.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I talked to residents and leaders alike, and both of them say how much they need affordable housing on the coast. But where they don't see eye to eye is how and where it should be developed.
We're just approaching where the start of the surplus lots would start, the 12.4 acres of it. So as you can see here, the terrain is heavily forested, and it's going to be very difficult to get any type of road in here.
Chris Mastrandrea has more than a decade of experience in commercial construction project management. This steep, rugged, heavily forested landscape in his hometown of Arch Cape, he says, isn't well suited for building affordable housing. There are no roads or utilities.
My gut reaction is it better be a passion project for someone, because it's going to be incredibly expensive and it's going to take a very, very long time.
Clatsop County commissioners are currently considering giving away more than a dozen acres of this land for free to a newly formed nonprofit that has expressed interest in building low-income housing here.
We are concerned that that housing will not actually get built, or will not get built in a timely manner to meet the need.
Bill Campbell is a member of the Responsible Land Use Alliance in Arch Cape. He and Chris are advocating that Clatsop County commissioners develop a standard due diligence process before giving away taxpayer-owned land for free.
We're talking about millions of dollars of county land.
And we think that allowing a private citizen to pick any piece of free land, give it away, and let them determine what they're going to build on that is not an effective strategy for housing. It's irresponsible. It's just nuts.
The barrier to entry to get this free land, slim to none.
So what we found out right now is the county's process is you have to have a nonprofit business or be a municipality, and you need to fill out a one-page piece of paper expressing your interest on said tax lot while selecting one of the three boxes: low-income housing, social services, or childcare.
And that's it.
That's how we understand it at this time, yes.
A geologist who has written 2 papers on the geology of Clatsop County wrote this letter to the commissioners pointing out the flaws in their plan, saying it would have harsh impacts on the habitat, put people too far from necessary services like emergency responders and the grocery store, but most importantly, that the land itself is geologically unstable, unfit for housing. The residents' greatest fear, without proper feasibility studies first, is that the county will give away the land. An inexperienced developer will attempt to build and fail, and the once rich forest will go fallow.
In which case, the land gets ruined and affordable housing isn't met.
And we all know the affordable housing is needed, and we need to make sure that we put a standard, transparent process in place to make sure that it's achievable and happens in a timely manner.
Because a goal without a plan, they say, is just a wish.
So the Responsible Land Use Alliance is asking Clatsop County commissioners to implement a 5-step process of social benefits and making sure that there's things like getting health care and being able to get to work, environmental suitability as well, and developer qualifications, building plans, and then finally, financial viability. And so public records show that Clatsop County manager has also recommended very similar 5-step process to the county commissioners. And we also know that these kinds of protections and practices are currently used in other areas along the coast and in Central Oregon as well.
So what's been the reaction? I know you reached out from county leaders to this plan.
So for the past 2 days, county leadership has refused my request to go on camera. And so they only were able to answer over email. They answered some of my questions, and they said that basically they are taking steps to address the lack of affordable housing along the coast, and that they are leaving it up to the developers to do their own due diligence.
But as you saw, as you showed us, it's tough to even get to that land in the first place.
It is. There's no roads, there's no utilities, there's no power, nothing. So very expensive, and this is public land, and the public obviously has the right to know.
Okay, you're going to stay on top of the story for us,
There will
right?
be follow-ups to come.